Would you like to know once and for all if there is civilization out there? You want to know if there's aliens? Guess what? No more Area 51. No more anything like that. What if we could tell you on every single planet out there, if there's water, ocean, people living, aliens, any of that stuff, what if we could do something? What would be that worth to you? Then the taxpayer would be able to sit there and say, I think a lot. Okay, cool. If it's worth a lot to you, is it worth $250 billion over the next 20 years? I think so. So here's what it's going to cost. We have to collectively pay for this. U.S. has committed to the $250 billion is going to, $70 billion of it's going to be U.S. China's committed to this much, and this is committed to this much, and here's what we're going to do with the next 20 years. I think a lot of people would be for it.
Yeah, you're singing my praises. I would love that to be true, for sure. I think I do have some, A is, can we collaborate with these other nations, right? Because collaboration internationally, especially on these science projects, has been at an all-time low. It's really struggling right now because of all the political challenges that the world is facing. So that's one issue. Another issue is, I'm not sure that the US public are as enthusiastic about planets as maybe you might imagine. There was a Pew poll in 2023, for instance, that showed that about 69% of Americans do believe that NASA and America should be a leader in space. But there was a number in there in this 2023 Pew poll, maybe you can try and dig it up, that found that it was something like 17% thought that looking for life in the universe or looking at planets was an important priority. So there were people out there who do think it's cool science and worth doing, but I don't think it's most people's top priority. I think you normally think about tourism, space tourism, maybe, having human astronauts go to Mars, things like this, and maybe higher priorities. Obviously, I feel like looking at planets and life in the universe is incredibly important, but...
so what did people say? What was the percentage of people that are interested in that?
I think it was around 16-17%, something like this, that thought that looking for life around planets was a top priority. 16
or 17%?
Around this kind of number, yeah. But that was from memory.
So
I looked this a while back. There you go, yeah.
Search for life and planets that could support 16%. What's the light blue, the lightest blue, and the middle one? What is it? So top priority, important, but lower priority, and not too important. Okay, so let's just say 16 plus 44. 60% is somewhat important, right?
But what do you think it was during the Apollo era? Because that's the comparison. During the Apollo era, what fraction of Americans thought that getting to the moon was more important?
Well, who was president at the time?
Right, so there you go.
Who was the president?
During the moon landings?
Apollo era, who was the president at the time? John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, well, he not during the moon
landings. I know he did,
himself,
but he sold it, right? So meaning someone has to cast a vision. So say I'm a president, and I get up and I say, listen, so many of you want to know about aliens, right? I would literally talk to the American people. I say, you want to know about aliens? How much you want to know about aliens? All of you guys are interested in Area 51. What do you want me to do? You want me to go into Area 51, grab a camera here, and just kind of do it live and show you everything? Of course we can't do that, but how about this? What if instead of us sitting here claiming, give us $95 trillion to fix climate change, which is not even a guarantee, and you're going to have to pay all this money for the next 20, 30 years? What if I can tell you, hard cost, $250 billion, next 20 years, we're able to build a telescope to put it, next to whatever planet it is, for us to be able to look at every single planet out there to find out where is there actual civilization or aliens living there. What is that worth to you? I would like, as a president, for us to be able to figure that out and get the answers to you within 2 decades, because that could protect our civilization. I think today, if the right president sold that, I don't know why. Maybe I don't know what's in. Maybe they put shrooms in this tea. Maybe there's ayahuasca. Rob, what'd you put in this tea, Rob? Did you put something in there? Maybe it's what I'm eating right now.
But I love the enthusiasm. I'm not going to argue with you.
I would love to know,
but
who would say no to that, though? I really think so many people. Okay, so let me go back to another thing you said earlier. So you said the Earth has roughly 1 billion years left. Okay.
Yeah, for complex life.
For complex, what is complex life? Like
multicellular, not just bacteria. I think beyond that, you can imagine some bacteria clinging on in caves and deep underground. But yeah, creatures, animals like us, I think there's less than 1 billion years.
In about 1 billion years, no matter what we do, everybody's wiped out.
Yeah, it's actually CO2 exhaustion that wipes us out, strangely enough.
CO2 exhaust.
It's because we lose CO2.
Because of us using it ourselves.
No. It's what happens is as the sun increases in luminosity, this has actually been going on its entire history. So when the Earth, people often say, well, the Earth had much higher levels of CO2 in its past. It's true. But the sun was cooler in its past. It wasn't as luminous. And they're anti-correlated to each other. So as the sun increases in luminosity, you have this CO2-rich ball of atmosphere around the Earth. As it gets more and more luminous, it causes more evaporation of the oceans, and then you get this rainfall come down. As the rain comes down, it dissolves carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, and you form carbonic acid.
Sure.
That then hits the ground and forms limestones. So carbon gets pulled out of the atmosphere from precipitation and other weathering processes, and it basically gets locked up underground. And that is forced by the sun's increased luminosity. So as you increase the luminosity of the sun, you decrease the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. We've seen that throughout history, and it will continue to happen. What eventually will happen, that CO2 levels will drop below about 10 ppm. So currently it's about 400 ppm in the atmosphere. Eventually it will fall below 10 ppm. Once that happens, plant photosynthesis ends.
At what point do we die? At 10?
About 10, just because you can't have photosynthesis anymore.
And we're at 400 right now.
Yeah.
So between 400 and 10, we're okay?
Yeah. Well, plants are okay. It's not really so much us, it says you can't have plants. If you can't have plants, you can't have us.
Okay, and then the sun. When you look at the articles, you'll read articles saying the fact that the sun's got 5 billion years left, right? I mean, it says, when will the sun die? And you'll kind of pull it up, and there's a bunch of different articles written about it. Here's what will happen when our sun dies. Billion years from now, right? It says 5 billion years.
Yeah.
The sun gives energy to life on Earth, and without the star, we wouldn't be here. But even stars have limited lifetimes, and someday our sun will die. You don't need to worry about the solar death anytime soon. It's likely not to happen for the next 5 billion years, et cetera, okay? So Earth, 1 billion. Sun, 5 billion, according to what we read. Maybe you can correct me, and it's a different number. Climate change is a big topic. Okay, a lot of people are talking about climate change. You give me $93 trillion, I can fix the problem for you. I mean, a lot of politicians in America, I don't know if you're in your country, you have politicians in our country.
Well, I'm American. I'm an American now.
I mean, UK, where you came from.
I originally am British, but now I'm naturalized.
Where are you based out of?
New York.
Okay, so here you see it with all the politicians that want all the money to be able to fix climate change. As an astrophysicist, you're not a politician. You're not a political guy. You're a scientist. Right, you're an astrophysicist. When you hear politicians make promises that they can fix climate change with $93 trillion, I'm curious, how do you process that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a political question, so I'm not an expert in politics. What I believe is true is that the atmosphere is being affected by human activity on this planet, and we are fundamentally altering the chemical composition of our planetary atmosphere. That is a very dangerous experiment that we are doing, and we are not sure what the consequences of that will be, but many of our models, our best models of the projections, generally look very bad for the future in terms of the economic impact and hardship it will have on the US, but all over the world. I mean, you're seeing it already. Like I know in Florida, like where we are right now, a lot of insurers are running out of the state, right?
No
running out of Miami.
Here in California.
Yeah.
California for fire, here for hurricane, additional things.
Yeah, for flooding, things like this. And so that's, I think, one of the things I worry about is I don't know with this plan you're talking about whether investing that amount of money will fix this problem. It's not obvious to me how we can fix this. The only way to really fix this is to get the CO2 out of the atmosphere that we've put in. That's the only true fix. And we don't have a technology which can do that in any feasible economic sense.
Let me ask, who is the most qualified scientist to be able to actually tell us a way to be able to address it? Is it what kind of scientist would it be?
I mean, we have an office just around the street from us called NASA Goddard Institute for Space Science, NASA GISS. And one of the directors there, Gavin Schmidt, is a good friend of mine. Our kids go to the same school. He's the director of that institute. And they do all the analysis of the measurements of Earth's climate and the temperature. And they make projections about how the temperature and the sea level and hurricanes and things like this will change over time. So this is where you can, if you go to this website, NASA GISS, you can actually grab all the data from any measurement measuring stations they have, you can grab the data and look at it yourself, look at the trends, look at the global trends, sea level, whatever you want to look at. And their models, obviously a lot of the models that they're using are informing, I assume, some of the policy that you're talking about. And so I think, I've had Gavin come onto my podcast and talk about some of the work he's been doing, but he's not really thinking about solutions. This office is not an office which is planning, like, here's a mitigation strategy. They're just collecting the data and telling you what's likely to happen and what's currently happening. But in terms of mitigation, I think that's where you're seeing both politics and even some corporations start to come in and add their own inventiveness of how to solve this. So you've got things like direct air capture. These are these giant wind turbines that are trying to, like, suck air out of the atmosphere and pull the CO2 out. And people are trying to innovate and think of how to do this. But none of these technologies, at least for my money, are anywhere near the level needed to reverse, if you want to go back to pre-industrial CO2 levels, you're talking about using basically 100% of the Earth's entire electricity supply for the next until the year 2050 continuously, even assuming you had 100% thermodynamic efficiency machine. So it's just ludicrous. But it's so far. I did a whole video about this. It's so thermodynamically, we can't reverse the damage we've done at the atmosphere.
We can't.
Right now, with our current technology, it's fanciful that we could ever get back to pre-industrial levels with the limitations of our current energy supply.
So let me qualify what you just said, and correct me if I'm off.
Yeah.
One, you're saying civilization has negatively impacted climate change. One, you're saying that. But two, you're saying all the money in the world couldn't fix the problem today to eliminate the CO2. All the problem in the world, all the money in the world wouldn't be able to fix that today.
I think if your version of fix is reverse the damage truly and pull the CO2 out, then I don't think we can fix it.
Well, you're saying that is the only way to fix it. That's what you're saying, though, right?
I think our best bet at this point is try to mitigate.
Preventative?
Like, you can't. There's going to be pain. But how painful do you want it to be? It's going to be pain whatever at this point. I think there's just no way around that. It's going to be painful.
That. What do you mean by that?
You can, there's these different scenarios. So you talk about, like, RCP scenarios are like these climate projections, and there's like RCP 3.5, 4.5, and the worst case is 8.0 that I've seen. And these are projections as to, like, I think 8.0 is like the business as usual. Like, you basically just don't give a damn about the environment and you just keep, like, doing whatever the hell. 8.5, you just do whatever the hell you want to the atmosphere and burn as much coal and oil as you possibly want. So I don't think that's very realistic that we're going to be on that scenario. But even already the 4.5 and the 2.6, which have pretty serious consequences for the planet. Yeah, even those, I think we're struggling. I think we're not on brand for. I think we're already diverging away from those scenarios in terms of our impact. And these are going to have, I'm not sure what the numbers are, but you're talking obviously trillions of dollars, as you said, of potentially damage to homes, to businesses, to the economy. That's what I worry about. I don't worry about this as an existential risk.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission to you, we're on a mission to get 1 million people to wear this gear. And this is what we're doing. If you buy one of these hats, there's a category of buying one hat, getting the second one free. If you haven't yet worn this gear publicly, go ahead and test it out. Buy some of the gear, wear it in public, and see how many people will stop by and say, you also watch Valuetainment? You also follow PBD Podcast? I do too. Place your order. Go to vtmerch.com, click on the link above or below, place your order, and represent the VT and the PBD Podcast gear.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.